If you have or work with a gifted student, that can present challenges. It's not always easy to know how to help a child who's gifted. I actually want to focus on two common problem areas that often arise with gifted students. One is that a common issue for kids who are gifted, especially as they start to get older, is if something is too difficult for them, they can become really easily frustrated. And that can show up as anger, tears, avoidance, shutting down. And it's because gifted students are used to everything coming so easily often that then when they have to work at something or something proves to be too difficult, it's very frustrating. And often they're not sure how to handle that. So how do you handle this? One would be to normalize making mistakes. It's really common that kids who are gifted or kids who just have really high logic and maybe aren't even classified as, quote, gifted, can be really hard on themselves because they know they're smart. And then why is this difficult for me? They're more aware that they struggle with something because logic's high, and they more can benchmark themselves. So normalizing making mistakes is a really important life skill for all of us to learn. Secondly, praise their persistence and hard work instead of just the outcome. We want to build perseverance. We want to build grit into our kids and our students. And so focusing on that versus the outcome of getting something correct or incorrect can really help shift their mindset to, I can't always control whether I get something right or not, but I can control my attitude and effort towards that. And then third, encourage risk-taking. In your classroom, encourage risk-taking. In your home, encourage risk-taking. And praise that and compliment risk-taking, like stepping out of your comfort zone to try something difficult. That's one of the struggles we often see with students who are gifted. The second is very common that when gifted students advance to more difficult grade levels, they often start struggling. A commonly high trait for students who are gifted is that they have extremely high logic and reasoning. It's off the chart, it's over 90th percentile compared to their peers. But what can happen as kids get older is weaknesses in other areas like working memory or processing speed can start to undermine their intelligence and make school harder. For example, kids who have high logic and are gifted often really excel in math, right? Because their reasoning is so strong. But then they start getting into 4th, 5th, 6th grade and math starts to become more multiple step. And so those students who are very bright but have low working memory, where they struggle to follow multi-step directions, all of a sudden start making careless mistakes and start getting B's and C's on tests instead of A's, or struggling with word problems where you have to hold your thoughts for a prolonged period of time. So what do you do, right, when kids get older and they start to struggle more? Well, one of the best things you can do is figure out why. Why are they struggling? Identify their weak skills and train them. The why can be figured out through a neuropsych evaluation, or we do cognitive skill assessments at LearningRx that help identify cognitive strengths and weaknesses. And that can be extremely helpful for a parent and or teacher to know. And then the other key is to train them, right? So don't just leave them with, for example, logic being 95th percentile and working memory being much lower. You can actually train those weak skills to be closer to or at the levels of their logic to help them really excel and get over the hump. Because the other thing that can happen then for gifted students if they struggle and they're older is then they're kind of stuck in between. They struggle in advanced classes because of those other low skills, but then when they're mainstream, they're bored and not really challenged. So getting all of their skills up to the level where they can perform and reach their full potential is really critical.